Welcome back to Green Time. We just saw a portion of the DVD Marketing of Madness. I'm host Don Fitz. Our show tonight is this episode is going to be Are Too Many Psych Drugs Going to Kids and Teens? Now with me I have Anita Collins. Anita, it's wonderful to have you at the show. Now you're with My Children's Children, correct?
Yes.
What is the mission, or what does My Children's Children do?
My Children's Children mission is to work with parents, primary care providers, and educators to reassess, plan, and implement methods of that are beneficial to the challenging child as well as the child that's non-challenging, without using psychotropic drugs.
In other words, a lot of parents have a child, they find it very difficult to deal with the problems the child presents. The child may be very overactive, the child may be underactive.
Those are subjective words too.
Okay.
I avoid using those,
Okay.
Don, because that lends itself to describing. Like I heard a parent say, stand there and don't move. And I said, if he stands there and doesn't move, something's wrong with him. Okay? Because it's totally, we've labeled our children so long that we've forgotten their spontaneity and how much energy a natural, very intelligent child has. And I emphasize intelligent because in a family, the youngest child gets the benefit of the knowledge of everybody above them.
Right.
So you've got a very, very smart, quick thinker, quick moving person, and someone could easily assume that they're hyperactive. They're not. They're just full of information, and they're going to share it. It was a perfect evening, and my granddaughter, it was supper time, and we were eating, and so she asked one of her brothers or sisters. I said, "Well, is the water out?" Okay, and the youngest one in the house said, "Yes, it's out. I can see the shadow of the cups." You see?
And so
now,
a lot of children can really pick up on things that adults might not pick up on.
We went on the scavenger hunt at the City Museum during Kwanzaa, and our children were just everywhere. They picked up, where we were looking at the frame, trying to decide if this was the right one. They picked up on the key item to look for, just like that. And so you got one child say, "Oh, I see it over here. Here's the cows over here," and the other child says, "Oh no, I see the mantle over there." And it was really exciting to see how quick we were through with our hunt in a half an hour. And it was supposed to take us longer than that.
Now, a lot of times there's pressures from either the parents working too many hours, not having time to relax. A lot of times there's pressures on teachers. You might have a whole classroom full of children. You have something you're supposed to do. You're pressured to do this, and then the teacher is pressured to feel that if a child is very active, that there's something wrong with the child.
Well, that's the programming, that just as you could see in Marketing of Madness, right? That's the programming. You're going to decide, and you're taking something that's natural, all right, and you labeled it.
Right.
So, and this is a natural occurrence. This isn't something made up. I was just reading here, and it's so beautiful. The intelligent, gifted, and bored. The score of intelligent and gifted, but are faced with non-stimulating curriculum, are bored.
Right, and so some children may just not be interested in the curriculum. A lot of kids just have a difficult time sitting in a classroom for hours every day.
But we are taught as teachers, okay, now this is something I love about the field of education. Unless you deliberately not attend your professional development opportunities, you have to just shut down and don't go to any. You are constantly encouraged to improve your teaching strategy. There isn't a month that goes by that a teacher isn't invited and encouraged to earn extra credits. And I say this because we're supposed to be teachers of a diverse society.
Yes.
When you graduate, that is one of the paramount things that is instructed upon you, that you must address the needs of a diverse society. So for any teacher to assume that the good old days where you sit still for 15 minutes, and if you time your lessons, we're supposed to change what we're doing every 15, 20 minutes.
But even that may be very difficult for
if you plan it. That's another thing. Are we responsible? And I say this sincerely and with all respects to all teachers. And I've been in the high intense room, the gifted room, the rooms with the children on level on their grade level and all that. I've been in those rooms. But again, the field of education is so broad that if you really, really, really incorporate what they tell us to do and prepare that lesson, your structure, you can structure that class where that child doesn't even feel that they're being occupied every minute.
Right.
And I've seen that teacher that has mastered that, I've seen them. They're beautiful.
And that's okay. Let's take a break, and when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about what psychotropics do and how they can interfere with the child.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, take a look at this message, and we'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to Green Time. I'm host Don Fitz. With me, I have Anita Collins with My Children's Children. It's so great to have you here, Anita. We were just talking about structuring classrooms. One of the things that we really need to mention briefly is what are some of the problems with psychotropic drugs. So many parents have problems and they go and ask for professional help, and the first thing they're told is you really need to get this child on Ritalin or some other sorts of drugs. Are there any problems with doing that?
Both. And I'm not going to name just one because they're relabeled, Don, okay? And so the two categories that we'll focus on is stimulants.
Right.
And depressants, okay? And then here's a perfect example. Stimulants are known to cause agitation in the child.
Yes.
Okay? Now,
and these are the Ritalin type drugs.
Yeah,
okay.
Stimulants. And so here you offer a child, natural child doing what a child does, jump across the table, crawl under the seat and play, okay? You say the child is hyperactive. You give him a stimulant. The child is agitated. All right? Now, though the stimulant controls that immediate jump around movement, where even the ADA newsletter admitted that when it does that, it wipes out all movement. It doesn't just stop the child from jumping around being active. It stops the child, period. Now, it doesn't last forever because the drug wears off.
And then you have to give more.
And you give them another dose. When you give the depressant, and then there's headaches, there's some of the effects, and there's no such thing as side effects. The effect of the drug is that there is vomiting, there's dryness of the mouth, and when we go into the classroom, and many of the parents are doing this without even recognizing it, they carry lip balm because the child is what? Dehydrated, dried out.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll see people putting lip balm on their little boys and little girls without recognizing they're trying to moisten the lips of a child that's been given a stimulant or depressant, and that's one of the effects of it.
And so, are there any alternatives? What would you check for if you think that it might not be hyperactivity? What are some of the things you could look for?
There are, and My Children's Children is an advocate of this, that we're asking for at least 10 tests be done on this child prior to any drug being administered.
What would some of those tests be?
And there's the lead test for one.
Oh, yeah, and for a child, and lead is epidemic in St. Louis. One of the effects of lead poisoning can be hyperactivity. And
wait a minute. I got a copy here. I'm sorry, I won't shuffle for it. But the St. Louis Coalition for Lead Prevention has a list. And lead poisoning on their list is 100% preventable.
It is.
So here you have a child that may be exposed to the lead. This has dizziness problems, has concentration problems, has problems with stability and mobility, all right? Now these, when you do the checkoff list on the so-called hyperactive child, it's identical. So here's a child that may be susceptible or have had lead poisoning, there's nothing wrong with them except where they have lived.
Right.
And another beautiful thing, when you get your list of checking your house for lead poisoning things, believe it or not, just the dust on Venetian blinds.
Absolutely. Okay, well, so we need to do a lead test. What's the next thing that you would want to look
Diabetes.
for? Oh,
diabetes. Diabetes. Okay, what is that? Diabetes has to do with what? The insulin, the sugar level, right? What does it travel through? The blood. So you've got what? Do you have energy to do, or do you have too much energy? We ask also for food allergy tests to be done.
There's good evidence that I've seen that food can cause a negative reaction in children and can change the metabolism of make the child too active or not active enough.
And then again, that too active or not active enough is subjective.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying,
can change the child's activity.
Right,
okay.
Now, when you look at ear and hearing and ear infections, that's your balance, right? That's your balance. That's your dental care. How is the dental? Any physical impairment that wasn't in any physical test, vision test. These are things that can, and people look at the money, but many of these are paid for by Medicaid.
Yes.
Okay? And if the child is receiving a Social Security check, or if there is a supplementary income coming in, it covers these. The other one is dehydration. Something as simple as water.
I hadn't even thought about that, but because that's so common. But of course, that's an obvious but very important issue. Is that the child doesn't have enough water,
and we're not talking about something. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's going to affect the child's activity level one way or another.
Concentration. It affects. It's a direct effect on the concentration, the ability to concentrate and be focused. And we can't say the child does not focus because their attention is someplace else.
Right.
But focus on what you want them to focus on is the issue.
Right.
So we're asking, and we found out, my children's children have worked with the Citizens Commission on Human Rights.
And they're the ones who produced the DVD,
Marketing Madness. Okay. But here they have a list. They asked for mercury exposure.
Mercury is not as widespread as lead, but it is very widespread, and that can definitely affect a child's behavior.
Yeah. Heart disease, thyroid condition is the other one that they have here. Malnutrition, we know that. Head injuries or tumors, and of course allergies. One of the things I discovered in researching allergies and which test to recommend for someone I'm talking with who wants to participate in the program is that they're very expensive. Yes. Allergy tests are even the ones that you just take a sample and send it off. I think the lowest I found was $199. So,
and there's so many things you can be allergic to that it has to be a complete test.
And I prefer someone close so that parent, the child, actually has physical contact with the individual.
Yes.
Okay. And I know sometimes it's not feasible, but that's that nurturing. In the care that we give in our collaborations, that we're providing a network of nurturing for this child.
Yes.
Because you've been labeled so long that we have forgotten how that hurts. You know?
Well, Anita, we just have about a minute left. So could you go over what you think are the most important points to think of in terms of use of psychotropic drugs and what sort of alternatives there are out there? Exercise, let the children play. We went into this thing, I'll do real quick, of they can't go outside in the schools if it's below 32 degrees. Unheard of, okay? If I'm inside, I can't, in the dust air, and I didn't get any exercise, and there's no stimulation, less than a minute. The other thing we're asking is that the parents really look at what damage, because when you sign off on that disclaimer, when you sign off on those psychotropic drugs, Anita, I'm getting the wrap-up sign. I want to thank you very much for coming to Green Time. I want to thank everybody for tuning into this episode, and be sure to look at us again this time next week and to see the next episode of Green Time.